Vice President Venkaiah Naidu completes 3 years in office. President Rajnath greets the Vice President. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh and Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar released the coffee table book on the occasion. Monsoon fury in many states. The flood situation remains grim in Bihar. 4 major rivers flowing above the danger mark, affecting over 74 lakh people. The death toll in Kerala's Idukki landslide reaches 49. Heavy rains and landslides in Uttarakhand. Former President Dr. Pranab Mukherjee is on a ventilator support after undergoing a critical brain surgery yesterday. Dr. Mukherjee had tested positive for COVID-19 earlier in the day yesterday. India's COVID-19 recovery rate touches 69.8%, while the death rate also comes down to 1.99%. The expert committee on vaccine administration to meet tomorrow. Lebanon's Hezbollah-backed government resigns after massive public outrage over devastating 4th of August Beirut explosion that killed at least 163 and injured thousands. Hello and welcome. You're watching Doordarshan News with me, Nancy Kohli. A top story: Vice President Venkaiah Naidu has completed 3 years in office today. A book chronicling the 3rd year in office of Vice President Naidu, titled "Connecting, Communicating, Changing," was released by Union Ministers Rajnath Singh and Prakash Javadekar in the national capital today. The electronic version of the book was also launched. The book, which runs into more than 250 pages, has been brought out by the Publications Division of the Information and Broadcasting Ministry. The book captures through words and pictures the variegated activities of the Vice President, including his travels in India and abroad. It provides a glimpse of his interactions with the farmers, scientists, doctors, youth, administrators, industry leaders and artists, among others.
Titled "Connecting, Communicating and Changing" primarily defines the contours of my mission and the outcomes. The last 1 year since August 2019 has been a mix of hectic public engagements over the first about 8 months, followed by the corona-induced uneasy slowdown. The first phase was marked by about 20 public engagements per month. I spoke at over 70 public events on a range of issues and addressed 14 convocations during this period. The main objective of connecting and communicating with these targeted groups was to share with them my experiences, my concerns, my worldview, and the way forward for building a new India, strong, stable, prosperous India.
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has urged people to read the book and said that book's title, "Connecting, Communicating and Changing," fits perfectly to the personality of Venkaiah Naidu of firm conviction and dedication. He added the book will pass from one generation to the other.
आदरणीय वेंकैया जी ने अपने विचार व्यक्त किए हैं। केवल जुबान से नहीं बोलते हैं, बल्कि वह दिल से बोलते हैं, और इनके भाषण में इनके भावनाओं की अभिव्यक्ति, इनकी जो भीतर की फीलिंग्स होती हैं, उनका एक्सप्रेशन, यह हमको देखने को मिला है। राजनीतिक क्षेत्र में काम करते हुए भी मैंने महसूस किया है कि हमारे आदरणीय वेंकैया नायडू जी सचमुच कितने भावुक व्यक्ति हैं।
And speaking at the event, the Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar hailed Venkaiah Naidu's speeches, saying students should read the book to learn the flow of language.
जो वेंकैया जी जो भाषण देते हैं अब ये तीसरा खंड प्रकाशित हो रहा है। मैं तो कहूँगा कि सभी कॉलेज के छात्र या जिनको भी अच्छा भाषण सीखना है, अच्छा भाषण करना है, अच्छे संदर्भ जुटाना है, वो अगर केवल वेंकैया जी के भाषणों को फॉलो करेंगे तो भी वो कभी भाषण में पूरा विचार होता है, पूरी इमोशन होती है, और उसके साथ साथ एक जिस तरह से भाषा का सीधा प्रवाह चलता है वो बहुत काबिले तारीफ है।
And President Rajnath Kovind also congratulated the Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu for completing 3 years as the Vice President of India. In a letter, the President said, Venkaiah Naidu as the Vice President of India has emerged as an inspiration for prosperity, to learn from his ability to transform a mix of wisdom, energy and spirited enthusiasm into creative solutions for sustained nation building. President Kovind also complimented Naidu's role as the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. And in news just coming in, Prime Minister Modi will be holding a video conference with the chief ministers of the 10 states to discuss the COVID-19 related situation today. And that video conference, we are learning, will happen in short while from now. And these states are Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Punjab, Bihar, Gujarat, Telangana and Uttar Pradesh. So let's go across now to our correspondent Arun Sharma to get us more inputs on that that we are getting right now. Arun, what more can you share with us regarding this video conference that Prime Minister Modi will be holding with these COVID affected states, the chief ministers?
Good morning, Nancy, and it's an important meeting today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding a meeting via video conferencing with 10 states. If you look at these 10 states are larger states specifically. Second point is that these are the states that were massively impacted by the COVID crisis during this entire pandemic situation. Third important part is that that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding this conference in the Unlock 3 as well. So this is for the first time in the Unlock 3 that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding a meeting with the chief ministers on the issue of COVID crisis. Yesterday also the meeting with the chief ministers of 6 states that were held, but that was on the point of a disastrous and of course the flood situation in the country. But today specifically the focus is on COVID crisis as to how the big states of our country are dealing with the COVID situation. At a time when India has achieved a recovery rate of approximately 70% as of today.
Absolutely.
That means that 70% of the COVID patients have recovered and they have been discharged, and they have been discharged by the hospital. So this is a good news as well. That means only approximately 25% are the active cases, and rest, if you look at it this way, close to 25% are the active cases and approximately 70% are the recovery rate. So that's the important part. But yes, now what will be the future course of action as far as the COVID crisis is concerned? When we talk about states like West Bengal, Maharashtra, Bihar, Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh for that matter. So what are their medium-term strategies and long-term strategies as far as dealing with the COVID crisis? We also know this fact that globally, various other countries are in various stages as far as vaccine development is concerned. Now tomorrow, the expert committee on the vaccine administration will also be holding a meeting under the chairmanship of V.K. Paul as to finding the various aspects of procurement and administrating the vaccine of COVID-19. So in that context also, this meeting of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the chief ministers of these 10 states is very significant. There's no aspect to it.
Yes, absolutely. Even though the recovery rate is of course improving by the day, we have almost reached nearly 70% recovery rate, Arun. But even now, in the present scenario, caution should not be, should not be lessened, and our guards must not be down. And specifically for states like Bihar, with which also the Prime Minister is going to be holding video conference with the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, very important situation prevailing in Bihar, and it's a twin challenge, Arun, really, because they are also battling COVID-19 pandemic, but also bracing the flood situation that has been battering the entire state.
That's right, Nancy. It's a double whammy situation for many states as of now. Earlier, we have seen that states like West Bengal, Odisha had to face the cyclone situation, and at the time they were also battling the COVID crisis. Now, there are various states as well, of course, like Bihar, that are facing the massive flood situation in our country, and they are also, combating the COVID crisis as well. So yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a meeting with the chief ministers of 6 states, and the focus was completely as to what is their strategy as far as, to combat the disasters in our country is concerned. But now, today, the specific focus in all these 10 states, we know this fact that, yes, Bihar is also a state whereby Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding this, video conferencing with the Chief Minister of Bihar as well. But the focus today will be on COVID crisis as to how Bihar is dealing with the COVID crisis, specifically during the time of flood. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on various platforms, on various, events, is constantly and reiterating one fact that do gaz ki duri hai zaruri. That means there is a need for social distancing as of now as well. No doubt, we have achieved a recovery rate of 70%.
Right.
On the other side, the fatality rate has come down to 2%. So that's a big news for a country like India, where fatality has now dropped below the 2% level. So that's an important part. But yes, between the recovery rate of 70% and the fatality rate dropping below 2%, how will states now, cope up to finally, battle or to combat the COVID situation as far as the middle-term strategy is concerned and long-term strategy is concerned to combat
Absolutely.
the COVID crisis as of now. And in that context, this meeting is very significant. That will start in a short while from now.
Absolutely, very critical, significant meeting there that Prime Minister Modi is going to be holding through video conference with the chief ministers of the 10 states as far as tackling the COVID-19 pandemic in the midterm and the long term is concerned. Very important. That's going to be Arun. Thanks for joining us. We'll of course be coming back to you for more inputs on that after that video conference is over. And talking about India's COVID-19 recoveries, well, those have crossed the historic peak of 1.5 million. According to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, 47,746 patients have been discharged yesterday, and the total number of recoveries now stands at 15,83,489. The recovery rate has risen to 69.8%. While with the 871 deaths recorded in the last 24 hours, 45,257 deaths have been recorded so far. The case fatality rate has also further fallen to 1.99%. Currently, the active cases stand at 6,39,929. The recovery of over 15 lakh has been made possible because of the policy of testing aggressively, tracking comprehensively and treating efficiently. According to the ICMR, the total number of COVID-19 samples tested so far is 2,52,81,848, including 6,98,290 samples that were tested yesterday. Now, a key government meeting on the COVID-19 vaccine procurement will also take place tomorrow, and according to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the expert committee on the vaccine administration under the chairmanship of NITI Aayog member Dr. V.K. Paul will meet tomorrow. The committee will consider logistics and ethical aspects of procurement and administration of the COVID-19 vaccine. The committee will engage with all the stakeholders, including state governments and vaccine manufacturers. And let's now take a look at situation in the worst COVID-19 affected states in the country. Maharashtra continues to top the list with 9,181 new cases recorded yesterday, while 6,711 patients were discharged and 293 COVID-19 deaths were also reported in the past 24 hours. The number of active cases so far stands at 1,47,735. In Tamil Nadu, 5,914 persons tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. Chennai continues to show progress, recording below 1,000 cases for the fourth day in a row, recording 976 cases, while 6,037 patients were discharged and 114 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the past 24 hours. In Karnataka, 4,267 new cases were recorded yesterday. The number of active cases so far stands at 79,908, while 5,218 patients were discharged and 114 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the past 24 hours. In the national capital, Delhi, 707 persons tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. The number of active cases so far stands at 10,346. While 1,070 patients were discharged and 20 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the past 24 hours. And moving on now, former President Pranab Mukherjee underwent a successful brain surgery at the Army's Research and Referral Hospital yesterday. The surgery was performed for the removal of a clot formed in the brain. His condition remains critical and he has been kept on ventilator. A team of doctors is keeping a close watch on his condition. Earlier on, 84-year-old Pranab Mukherjee informed in a tweet that on a visit to hospital for a separate procedure, he tested positive for COVID-19. He was hospitalized thereafter. Mukherjee, who was the president from 2012 to 2017, requested people who came in contact with him in the last week to self-isolate and get themselves tested for COVID-19. President Rajnath Kovind spoke with his daughter Sharmishta and inquired about his health. The president wished him a speedy recovery and good health. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh visited the hospital and inquired about the former president's health. He was in the hospital for around 20 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday held a meeting with the chief ministers of 6 states to review the flood situation. He emphasized on better coordination between all the central and the state agencies to have a permanent system for the forecast of floods and extensive use of innovative technologies for improving the forecast and the warning system. And in Bihar, normal life continues to remain paralyzed in the flood-affected areas of the state. Over 74.4 lakh people across 16 districts are reeling under the impact of floods. In all, 24 people have lost their lives in the flood-related incidents. The flood situation continues to remain grim in districts of Darbhanga, Muzaffarpur, Samastipur, Sitamarhi, Gopalganj, East Champaran and Saran districts. The life in affected areas has also been crippled as flood-hit people are forced to take shelter either on the embankments, national highways or other higher places. 33 teams of the NDRF and the SDRF are carrying out relief and rescue operations in the affected areas. About 5.8 lakh people have been evacuated so far. 12,000 affected people have taken shelter in the relief camps. Gandak, Puri Gandak, Bagmati and Kosi rivers are flowing above the danger mark at many places, though the water level is falling. The Met Department has forecast mild to moderate rains in the catchment areas of various rivers in North Bihar as well as Nepal in the next 24 hours. In the massive landslide that hit Rajamala in Idukki district of Kerala on Friday, 49 lives have been lost so far as 6 more bodies were recovered from the site yesterday. The joint search operation on war footing is being undertaken by the NDRF, police and fire force officials, armed forces and the forest officials. The Chief Minister said as some more bodies are suspected to have been swept away into the river, the search will cover a distance of about 16 kilometers downstream to retrieve the bodies. He said the search will be continued till the last missing person is found. And heavy rain is wreaking havoc in the state of Kerala. Flood-like situation is prevailing in many low-lying regions of the state, mainly in Alappuzha, Kottayam and Pathanamthitta districts. The high-range areas are on a high alert as multiple landslides are being reported. People are being shifted from flood and landslide-prone regions to the relief camps. The water level in all the major rivers is rising, causing an alarming situation in the riverside areas. Although the intensity of the rain has come down, the Met Department has warned of isolated heavy rain in several places for some days. On an average in August, received 476 millimeters during the last 10 days. And the Chief Minister has also urged public, especially those living in the hilly regions, to exercise abundant caution. In Uttarakhand, several shops were damaged and road blocked after a landslide occurred on the Badrinath National Highway in Chamoli district following heavy rainfall last night. There were incidents of landslide were witnessed, leaving dozens of roads including the Kedarnath and Badrinath highways blocked yesterday. Heavy rains have also lashed Dehradun, flooding several rivers and the waters of which inundated residential areas located close to the banks. Shifting focus now to the Kerala gold smuggling case, where a two-member National Investigation Agency team has reached the UAE in connection with the probe. The NIA took over the case last month, and according to sources, the NIA team will interrogate key accused Faisal Fareed and a couple of others who have been taken into custody by the UAE authorities. The key accused Swapna Suresh and co-accused Sandeep Nair were arrested by the NIA from Bengaluru after the case was handed over to the agency. A joint search operation was launched late last evening on specific inputs received by Jammu and Kashmir police in the Lalpura region of the Kupwara district. 3 suspects have been apprehended. An AK rifle and 2 pistols with magazines and ammunition have also been recovered from them. The joint operation is still in progress. The latest updates now on the Sushant Singh Rajput case. The Enforcement Directorate will question actor's sister Mandeep Singh today. Mandeep Singh is the first member of the family whose statement will be recorded by the ED. Yesterday, actor Riya Chakrabarti along with her father Indrajit and brother Shawik were grilled by the Enforcement Directorate for close to 9 hours in connection with the money laundering probe related to the actor's death. Meanwhile, Riya Chakrabarti has also filed an additional affidavit saying that she is already convicted by the media even before a foul play in the death of Sushant Singh Rajput is established. Shifting focus now once again to the global updates on COVID-19 from across the world. The number of COVID-19 cases recorded worldwide has crossed over 2 crore. More than half of the world's cases have been recorded in the US alone and in Latin America and the Caribbean region. So far, a total of 7.38 lakh people have died from COVID-19 worldwide, and of these deaths, over 1.66 lakh have occurred in the US alone. Around over a lakh have died in Brazil, while COVID-19 has claimed over 52,000 lives in Mexico. The World Health Organization has warned of a huge gap in funding to help fight the COVID-19 pandemic. The WHO chief has said that there was a vast global gap between the organization's ambition for a fund to tackle the virus and the funds already pledged to fight it. The WHO chief said the funding needed for vaccines alone was over $100 billion, while the aid the WHO was given was only 10% of the way. The WHO also warned that COVID-19 has shown no seasonal pattern, and if health authorities take the pressure of fighting it, COVID-19 will bounce back. Despite a study that found that nearly 1 lakh children were infected with COVID-19 in the final 2 weeks of July, US President Donald Trump has reiterated that children are essentially immune to the virus and that schools should reopen for in-person instruction in the fall. He said the reopening of the schools was crucial for the health of the American economy. However, many public health experts have disagreed with Trump's assertion that children do not get very sick. Now, Spain has overtaken the UK with over 3.7 lakh COVID-19 cases and become the Western European country with the highest number of COVID-19 cases. A number of new outbreaks have been tied to nightlife. Also, people are not taking social distancing and the need to wear face masks seriously. According to latest data, the only European country which has a higher number of cases is Russia with over 8.92 lakh cases. The UK currently has over 3.11 lakh cases of COVID-19. In terms of the number of deaths, the UK is still the top European country with 46,526 deaths, followed by Italy, France and Spain. And more news now from around the world. In Lebanon, Prime Minister Hassan Diab has announced his government's resignation amid outrage over the Beirut port explosion. Diab made the announcement following a cabinet meeting on Monday afternoon and claimed the disaster as a result of chronic corruption in politics and administration. Resignation was followed after protesters blamed the government for chronic mismanagement and demanded political reforms. Meanwhile, the president has accepted the AB's resignation and asked the government to stay on in a caretaker capacity until a new cabinet was formed. Tensions have been boiling over in the country following a massive blast on the 4th of August, which killed more than 160 people and devastated large parts of the city. And news now from the world of sports. All the 6 hockey players who tested positive have tested COVID positive so far are being monitored constantly, and their vitals were being checked 4 times every day in the morning, afternoon, evening and the night before the sleep. During the night monitoring of vitals yesterday, it was found that Mandeep Singh's blood oxygen level was dropping below normal, which indicated that he is moving from mild to moderate severity of COVID-19. Mandeep Singh tested COVID positive yesterday only. The Sports Authority of India authorities on campus took an immediate decision to shift him to the SS Parsh Multi-Speciality Hospital as a precautionary measure. His condition is currently said to be stable. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.